Darkness deep and wide, in the forest there is no place to hide. Strange bells, tonight I fear that I will not survive the dying of the light.
This is The Dying of the Light, a series from the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group using the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world we've been developing together. You can find out more about the collective, as well as the stories we're telling, at thestarfallcollective.com. Previously, on The Dying of the Light, the party has just defeated the Iron Bell in its attack on the Black City. Belvari, Toll, Inkatink, and Diamondback led the people to victory. In that victory, they had, it was basically a complete victory. While they did have some casualties, the Snake Clan was able to spare the villagers who had been significantly wounded or fatally wounded, spare the dying. Sorry, Mecca. Oh, that's right. And then the last episode, they were basically planning their new, what they're going to do for the next onslaught. Now, they're predicting that the Iron Bell is about 6 days away again. That's how long it took for the second set to come. And actually, that's about how long it took. Sorry, one sec. I'll unplug that in a second. That's about how long it took. This is the attack they just repelled is the third set of Iron Bell. If you recall, there was a small party in the woods that Belvari, Diamondback, Toll, and Inkatink went and took care of. One of those escaped. And some days later, while this party was in the hole looking for Yoshka, Neno, and Talid, another set of Iron Bell came. Garriott from Miradau led the town to defending against those. And then this was the third set, 6 days away again. These have all been 5, 6, 7 days between. So our party.
Unfortunately, this one we cleared all the survivors, so no word got back to the Iron Bell, which is a great thing.
That is a great thing. However, no word getting back to the Iron Bell is a message of a sort. So,
you know, the Iron Bell, they're always saying, no news is good news.
That's what they say.
They clang their bell for an hour.
So they are expecting that the next wave of Iron Bell will come in about a week, maybe a little less. And so the plan, as Diamondback has unfolded it, is in 3 days for the city to evacuate on a slightly northern route towards the headwaters to make an onslaught, to make an attack against them, routing them. No, not routing them. To make an attack against them as their large force comes at the Black City. Now, this force came with 3 dozen-ish Iron Bell, controlling several hundred beasts and animals, beasts and zombie hordes. If they are true to form, the Iron Bell will come with in the neighborhood of 100 to 200 Iron Bell, and maybe, who knows, 1,000 beasts. It's enough that no one has heard of the Iron Bell having to amass in this size number that you know of. Typically, couple dozen Iron Bell are going to, destroy everything in their path to the uttermost. Okay. So we're going to pick this up with a couple of different things that need to go on during that 3-day period before they get ready to leave. Why don't you introduce yourself, players, and talk a little bit about your character and what they are planning to do / their disposition towards the current state of affairs. Let's start with maybe Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh, and I am the opposite of a materialist. And I play Inkatink, who is a kinku with many voices, but not one. He definitely has the tiger by the tail. He has seen the fulfillment of his deepest desires. Everybody in his working together as one to protect the nest, so to speak. And now they are taking the fight to the enemy, and I think Inkatink is just overjoyed that everybody is operating with focus. So he is excited to be part of that.
Okay, good. How about you, Pat?
Hello, I'm Pat. I'm playing the half-orc druid Toll, who is pretty happy with how the last fight went. He is going to make sure that the party has ample healing components for when we head to up the river toward the Iron Bell, and he's also pleasantly surprised that so many of the townsfolk have agreed to come. It feels like an important boon.
Okay, great. And Pat, could you turn your mic up just a little bit? Maybe...
It is as high as it will go.
Okay, great. Good enough. How about you, Dwight?
Hey, I play Belvari, the human druid 16-year-old, and I have been reminded that me and Garriott are going to go see about the status of Garriott's old village, see if we could stash some villagers there for a time while we go off and raid the Iron Bell, and then also possibly gather some Garriott material.
Yep. He had a secret stash he has revealed to you. Diamondback had seen it before, but a secret stash of significant magical items. Now, you already have some magical items. You looted some out of that one abandoned ancient city. But Gary claims to have some others that might be helpful too. So. Good. And how about you, Matt?
Hi, my name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew TALAMINI.com. I play the shirtless wizard Diamondback. Diamondback is mostly concerned with getting his acolytes ready to go, ready to travel, helping get as many of the villagers ready to go, ready to travel as possible. He's going to be animating a bunch of skeletons. I just realized, so having attained level 6, Diamondback is able to animate 2 undead in one spell cast, which means that, and also I didn't make the connection that this could be used for this, but because I have the arcane recovery feat, or not feat, but the arcane recovery feature, I can actually cast 4 level 3 spells in a day, which means that I can maintain up to 16 undead at once per every day, and then spend all 4 of my spell slots reasserting control of all of them. I think it's not going to go that far. I think in the 3 days leading up to us leaving, I'm going to get up to 12. and I do have 12 bodies. I had 5 before the battle that I used during the battle. And then after the battle, I was able to gather 7 more. So I'm going to be
Really
spending
don't-
most of my high-level spell slots animating and asserting control over undead, and just generally helping people get ready, providing undead labor for carrying things if people like, just being your friendly neighborhood necromancer, just willing to help out, generating
Pitch in.
goodwill, pitching in, all that.
Also, sort of holding us for ransom. If I pass out at midnight, this could all go really poorly for you. So you better not let me get. My
It's
health
quite
down
true.
too low.
My skeletons are more powerful now than they were before. Also, I need to have a talk with you know who.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. First, I mentioned this before everybody was here, maybe, but if you could use your maps for reference today, it'll be helpful on a kind of small scale, not like I said, not building by building, but at a kind of smaller region of the map section. For the listening audience, I provided these players with a faithful rendering of this city in map form. It has a lot of streets and buildings and little stuff. I will now describe it to you in perfect detail so that you have an accurate understanding. Just kidding.
It's true.
But we will try to refer to things that you understand and know about. Okay. Let us start with Belvari.
Hello.
You are going to go with Garriott to his old town, his old place. The people of Mirrodau have moved into the Black City. They are in a section of the city that is right on the westernmost side of the wall, on the inside of it, and there are no neighbors to the north of them. Around the circle, all of their neighbors from other villages are counterclockwise from them, to the south and southeast. Sorry, to the southwest and then south, etc. So Garriott is interested, Belvari, I'll say it this way. Oh, I don't think I want to take others with us. He's a halfling, old halfling. In case it's dangerous, you should know there's a risk that the Iron Bell are there or something. However, I think I have destroyed the city. I think I have destroyed the village pretty well. They shouldn't have found anything of interest there. So perhaps it's best if just you and I go. I think between the two of us, we can carry what's worth carrying from my store.
Gotcha. Sounds good to me.
So to get there, you'll recall that you have made a keep with stone and mud in the south center portion of Black City. Inside that keep is the base that you all, except for Diamondback, use as your quarters, and also a large kind of auditorium with a teleportation circle in the center. Yeah, go for it. Sorry, Johanna needs something. And so
And are the things that Patrick's magic items created, is that permanent?
those are permanent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's also inside the Mudkeep
The stone
Stone.
inner bit. Now, remember that those are, while they are permanent, they're not. He can't create things of like great value. They're not
But since
magically
there's
strong stone, but it's stone.
it's different stone than the black stone.
Yeah, it's just like granite or something that is indigenous to this area besides this black stone. So, Belvar, you and Garriott go here. He does not have any gems with him. Are you all happy to give? You have several hundred gems left from what gave you before the dragon, and so if y'all happy to provide that.
Yeah, let's take 2 extras. So grab
24
3.
sets.
Yeah.
Great. Being very familiar with his own teleportation circle, he draws those symbols on your teleportation circle.
And I mentioned, hey, remember to note these 2 in your...
Yes, he has learned them.
Nice.
And do you also want to memorize them?
Nah.
It takes a minute. Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Fair enough. So the black mist that, just a reminder for our listening audience and players, I guess. The place in this forest in which you live, every part of the forest, not just Garatone, but also Simdaron or Wira or wherever else, has this swirling, slow, undulating black mist everywhere. One of the effects of that is that it goes all the way above you. It's above the canopy. Is that you are in a kind of twilight all the time, right? It's not quite as dark as twilight, but it's a sort of dusky setting. Indoors, it's darker because obviously there's less light during the day, and so this is how magic it works, right? So, but he sets those stones, draws the symbol, sets the stones. The mist that is in the building starts swirling into a ball and becomes a smoky, sort of misty ball that grows and grows, as you are familiar with, turning into that large black, sort of blackish gray sort of walkways. It's interesting you'll recall that this mist, when it forms this ball about a 15-foot diameter resting on the teleportation circle, no matter which direction you look at it, it appears to be a portal stretching far into the distance away from you. It's kind of a neat property. You have a few seconds once it opens to get in, and then it closes. So it opens, and y'all hop in.
Yep.
And Gary and you take a walk. You'll recall, listeners and players, that while you're walking in here, time has a very strange feel because it's featureless. And you could be walking for 10 minutes or half an hour or 2 hours, but you walk for what feels like, a while. As you walk through, you are half expecting someone to say something to you, but it doesn't quite happen. You just make it through. After a little while, you see the end of this tunnel and a kind of brightness at the other end. You had left it around midday, just before midday, so maybe 10 a.m. in our time, thinking about it. And you see this brightness up ahead that looks like a forest with brighter shades of green and yellow than Garatone. They are the colors you remember from Simdaron, from your youth and life growing up so far. You walk forward, and you don't have much choice because the pathway behind you is folding closed. But you cautiously approach and listen. You can't really hear much. Neither of you is quite sure if that's normal, if you just can't hear something or what. But you ready to step out?
Yeah.
You step out, and you find yourself in this familiar, almost sort of rattan cage around the teleportation circle at Miradau. Looking directly across from you, you remember this was what we had referred to as the basket. I didn't unplug that.
A hissing geyser appears in the ground beside the rattan cage.
That's not true.
So we had referred to this as the Basket Town.
And the people from there are basket cases.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And the reason for that was that there was a partially living basket of a wall that sort of flexed and bowed outward, made of vines and thorns and bramble and branches and other things. In this particular case, it was, 10, 12 feet tall, and it bowed outward and looked a lot like a basket. The brambles and the wall here have been almost entirely burned down now.
Mhm.
There's no meaningful barrier to entry to the city. There is a lot of ash that it looks like in the past few weeks or month, it was burned down, has been rained on a number of times, and is like becoming part of the forest slowly.
Mhm.
Looking past that, you can see into Miradau. All of the huts that were made of things like some river stone and some different bits of wood, wood panels and things. There are very few stones remaining stacked. It is piles of rubble.
Gotcha.
Garriott explains, turns to you, Belvari, and says, I did this before we left, wanting the Iron Bell to think there was nothing here to find. I guess they burned down the wall, though. I left that part intact.
So there's like nothing here to that people would be able to hide within.
If the wall were here, there would be, but no. I mean, I knew the buildings wouldn't be here, but I was hoping the wall.
Mm-hmm.
However, my storehouse should still be intact.
Mm-hmm. Let's go check it out.
So he walks you, maybe out of habit, maybe out of some sort of respect. He goes through where the door once was of the wall, and excuse me. He walks you along the path to the rubble that used to be his own place. He fishes around in his tunic that he's wearing, and he reaches in and grabs, and he pulls out a feather with a little metal bell tied to it. And he looks at you and says, this is the key.
A bell?
Little like ting-a-ling-a-link kind of bell, yes.
Made of what?
Metal.
Metal, but not iron.
Hell Hydra.
So he looks around for a few minutes, and he climbs over the rubble to his place. And do you want to stop him or anything? Or I don't know if you got a subconscious tickle from Diamondback about that.
I did, but I ignore those.
Okay. He rings a little bit. It goes ting-ling. It's barely audible. Ting-a-ding-ding. But when he does that, one of the pieces of stone just in the pile of rubble starts going as if in response to the ringing of the bell.
Gotcha.
He seems to find it, walk over to it, grab it, and he says, the doorway. He busies himself. It takes maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. You don't hear anything. It's just forest sounds, right? There's nothing especially.
Gotcha.
He busies himself for about half an hour or so, 20, 30 minutes, and makes a little stack of various stones in a pattern. It's not like a wall or something. It's just a little, you don't know why he's putting them in that pattern. But he puts that one stone right on the top, right in the front, and he rings it and he goes ding, ding, ding. And the stone goes boom. And when he's satisfied with it, you don't know why exactly, he takes the feather and he draws a few symbols on it with not the quill, but the other part. I don't know if that's called the fletch.
The tickle?
Is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds
It
good.
is now in the Starfall collection.
That's right. So he holds it by the quill and draws with the tickle. of the feather. Kind of little brushing sort of paint sort of thing, except there's no paint. And waits, and then you hear vroom, vroom, a couple of little sounds. And then he turns to you and says, looks like it worked. You can come in or you can wait here. You have seen nothing happen.
Okay. I'll go in.
Okay.
I'll follow him.
He steps around the stone, and it looks kind of like, well, I'll tell you in a second, but he steps beside the little stone shape he made and walks forward, disappearing. I realize this is going to sound a little ominous, but I only meant to say visually it has a similarity to the entrance to Oravan, where you had to kind of, to get in, it was like an invisible door. You had to kind of go in a certain path. You follow?
Yep. I tell Chekhov to just like patrol.
Okay, sounds good.
Give me a bark if he sees anything.
So yeah, you go in and there's almost like it's almost like you're going through a very dark antechamber. Really, it kind of is like, has no walls, but it feels like a small room. There's a lit up thing next to it. You're passing in some kind of interstitial place between his place and yours. And then you step into a brightly lit room. It's a long room that has a long series of tables, like countertops, full of all kinds of strange little intricate things. It has devices that you don't understand that are on little mounts. It has old things that look like they're made of multiple metals of different gold, silver, bronzy types of colors. There are bits of glass. There are all kinds of things. On the back wall, you see a long case, the kind of thing you haven't really seen before, except you recognize the material it's made out of. Some of the bottles you got from the Dark City, it's a hard substance, but you can see perfectly through it. Garrett has told you when he saw them that that's called glass.
Gotcha.
Unknown in your world, but he has a case made of glass that has 10 little pillows made to hold something. 7 of them have things on them. The 7th is the tooth of a horse.
That almost killed Diamondback.
Maybe. As you're looking around, he says, I assume you're looking around.
Yeah.
He says, it'll just take me a minute. I'm get a few things ready.
Okay.
And he goes rummaging around while you look. You see, I'm going to describe to you a few things that you see. You see,
How big is this room?
it's longer than it is wide. It's probably 20 feet wide and maybe 100 feet long. So, you would have to walk up and down these aisles that are formed by these tables. Maybe 30 feet wide.
Okay.
While you're looking around, if you're just perusing, some of the things you see that are of some interest to you are a model of what seems to be this forest, perhaps. It has a couple of different features and some missing information, large gaps of information, but it has a bunch of trees, a few of what you're guessing are great trees because they're huge compared to the others. It has also a large black dome on one section of the model.
Okay.
You
Can I
just
find where we are?
you Miradau is marked
Gotcha.
clearly on this kind of map.
Okay, so there's some great trees, Black Dome. Are there any other towns?
You do. You see a smattering of bits and pieces. The map has rivers coming out from what appears to be a center point. The center point does not have any detail in it. What you do see, those rivers that are coming out like spokes, the end of what is drawn for those is on the river, on each river, what appears to be a bridge with a stone bridge with a town on each side. And past that, into the interior of that, there's this circle The inside of each of those has nothing.
Gotcha. Is the black dome over where the hole was?
Roll me an investigation check.
Investigation. I will take guidance as my assistance.
You said guidance?
Yeah. I am not the best at investigating. It was on a 17, but it rolled over to a 7. So that's an 8 plus my guidance is 1, so 9.
Excuse me. You're not 100% sure, but you do see upriver from that is a lake that could be your lake.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Is the lake circular-ish? Okay. Is there? Do I notice any notation of the teleportation circle?
Of which teleportation circle?
This one here, and then do I see that repeated anywhere else on the map?
You see a small, 5 or 6 teleportation circles marked.
Gotcha. Is
One
at-
one seems to be the Mirador one. One seems to be what you're guessing is the Dryad, or not the Dryad one. I don't know if there's a couple that you saw. There are a couple
Gotcha.
others around. I can't
Yeah.
remember who saw which.
Yeah, I didn't see that many, and they wouldn't have known about the one in the middle of the lake.
There is not one on the lake.
Because it was under a lake. What about in the black? The black dome is just black, so
Yeah.
Okay. And is there a nearby village that's like Mirador? That's like within a few minutes walk, or
Probably hours at the nearest. If you recall, Spolash was leading the armies on a circuit of towns that
Yeah.
were considered friendly or enemies of the Iron Bell, friendly to Mirador
Yeah.
and destroying them. Garriott bustles back in.
Mhm.
He's got several wooden crates that are big enough for him, and he's dragged a few that are too big for him. He's a halfling.
Yeah.
And
I can carry
several,
those.
and he's got them packed with stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, Gary, how much do you like all of this stuff?
I'm hoping it's useful. I like it a lot.
So, we're looking for a place to keep these people.
Oh, could they be in here, you mean?
Yeah. I feel like it would be mildly disruptive at best to your collection.
He says, I am not the first person to own these things. I am not the second or the third. This place has been entrusted to my care by my master and to him by his for a long time, searching for what could be used to overthrow the bell. This is, to my knowledge, the greatest store of magical power.
Mm-hmm. Would it, if you're willing, would it be dangerous to the people if they're like, oh no, Timmy knocked over the table and got polyjuice pushing on him and now he's a beetle?
He is a little surprised that you know the reference, but he laughs and says, I think we could probably get everything packed away into half of this room. The remaining space wouldn't be enough for everybody to live comfortably, but for a few hours or days, perhaps they could be.
What about the entrance? Could you show them how to get into it at night? And
And you can see he's very concerned about the idea of doing that.
yeah,
He says, there are 2 people I could trust with that from Mirador.
mm-hmm.
They would stay here and they would be the only ones.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a plan to me. They could sort of work on the walls on the daytime and hide in here if needed.
He's deeply wary, but he's willing and he seems to be willing to save people's lives, but says, I would not like it to be our first resort, but if there's no other way, it's worth it. I would put several of my people, none of them know this is here.
Mhm.
I would put several of my people as protectors of these precious artifacts and belongings.
Mhm.
They would not come with us to the battle.
Okay. Yeah, it's an option.
Okay. Will you help me with these?
Yep.
And so take your bundles. He's got them lashed with leather straps so that you can carry them like stacked on your back. You emerge through that little strange black interstitial space and come out. Chekhov is there. It's hard to tell, but you're guessing an hour or two has passed. You're not sure if it felt that long, but either way, it's a little afternoon.
Gotcha.
You walk back across the way to the teleportation circle. Garriott makes haste to make it go. You step in without event and find yourself in sometime later back in the Black City.
Mm-hmm. I step out and see.
Everything's as you expect.
Okay. It's not all on fire and people screaming.
Yeah. You and Garriott, then I'll have this happen as just off camera, but you and Garriott can go and take this from this teleportation room to your compound area, your all, to basically strategize what there is, how to distribute. We'll get to that.
Gotcha.
Diamondback, Matt, or everybody actually.
What's up?
While Belvari is gone, you at some point hear a great clattering above.
Santa Claus, is that you on the roof?
It is.
Everybody, who casts not their eye, right? When a dragon shudders its scales, a great copper dragon circles above, penetrates through the canopy, and alights in the square at the center of the town. Sorry, not in the center, at the entrance to the town where the opening is. And he calls out and says,
My friends.
very loudly, everyone can hear.
Inkatink shudders visibly, and you see a tremendous blue iridescent sheen as his feathers ripple.
Where are you all?
Yeah, exactly. What time is it?
It's noonish.
Probably out and about, helping them that need help.
Yeah, I
doing the
think
good
Diamondback,
works.
Diamondback and his acolytes are, and his skeleton. And what day is it?
First day.
Okay, so I've got 4 skeletons.
The first day after the defeat of the whatever. So the second day,
Okay.
if you're thinking of it that way.
Actually, I've got 8 skeletons.
Okay. Do you look? If you look at your maps, he's
see.
right at the entrance. Where Timu is. Timu has taken up the kind of place of town guard because they're right there at the entrance.
Sure, I'm going to roll to see like what part of town I happen to be in because of just
Okay.
going wherever people seem to need help. So here's wait, no, not that one. I want this one. Yeah, I'm actually in Endev, fairly close by. So I see the dragon come down, and Inkatink, are you with me?
I believe Inkatink is nearby. He's looking around, asking, "Hey, does anybody want to make a bell with me?" But in his Inkatink way, just seeing who wants to combine a little bit of rebel spirit with good old-fashioned improv engineering.
I look around. Do I see anything that could be used as a palanquin, a door, or a stretcher,
Oh my word.
any kind of platform, or a chair with a chair.
Yeah, you can find something like that. Some planks of wood and
So I
Yeah.
get just real
The
quick,
beanbag.
me and my skeletons and acolytes whip up like, a quick palanquin. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. And
litter.
Diamondback, sits on it, and it is borne by 8 skeletons, like two in each corner.
Okay.
Inkatink floats up into the air and posed just above and just behind so as to use Diamondback and his entire processionary body as merely the precursor to his presence. Inkatink begins to resplendently glow this iridescent blue draconic electricity in a minor illusion and floats as though, crackling with divine power behind Diamondback.
This sounds great. So Diamondback processes with acolytes and skeletons, borne aloft in a rough palanquin, probably along the wall past Agara to where the dragon will be. Inside the wall, but like probably not taking the small, tiny little streets.
Okay. Sounds good. This takes you 15 minutes to get the little thing together. Toll, where are you?
After he says,
After he says, my friends. Toll, where are you?
I'm probably either around gathering components, or I think I have time to awaken a few more trees to take with us. So I might also be doing that.
Maybe south of the city?
Yeah, if that's where the gathering's good.
Okay, that sounds fine. Do you go towards the dragon when you hear him?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see what that's all about.
Okay, and Matt and Diamondback and Josh do it too. Sorry, Diamondback and Inkatink do. Belvar, you are out with Garriott in Mirrodale, so you don't.
gotcha.
Yeah, you all arrive towards the entrance. Toll, when you arrive, most of what you see is the people of Timu have come out, and the people of Agara, which is the other town close by, have come out, and they're all just laughing a lot. Something, is very funny to all of them. And this dragon is there hissing and cackling with a sort of jolly kind of laugh. You're not sure what they're laughing at, but you also find yourself amused as you come into the opening and you see the dragon there laughing with people all having a great time around him, and the hilarious sight of Inkatink and Diamondback proceeding down the outer boulevard. You will remember that one of the effects that a copper dragon has is that laughing gas emerges from the ground near him often when he's in a good mood. So everybody sees your delightful joke, Diamondback and Inkatink, and is just really thinks it's great. They're really amused.
How good of a insight check does one have to make to know the difference between them laughing with me versus laughing at me?
The DC on it is 20 minus your wisdom.
Minus my raw wisdom or my wisdom modifier?
Your raw wisdom.
So the DC is 5.
Okay, you're pretty wise about this.
Oh,
I guess.
I can't lose this roll because my insight is +5.
Oh, okay.
Are they laughing with me or at me?
They're amused by everything right now.
Oh,
Somebody slapped somebody on the back.
I can see
hilarious.
that this is an effect of the dragon's presence.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
you remember it from before.
Not
So
offended.
Inkatink takes this blue, glowing, scintillating light and electricity, and suddenly, poof, hit most of his demeanor. It's not alter self, but he uses minor illusion to kind of look like a little yellow chick, and he starts cheeping like a little baby chick, and then poof, turns into a flamingo. He starts turning into silly-looking birds and making bird noises.
That's great. Everybody is amused.
Diamondback-
After some time,
Oh.
what?
Diamondback does not play along and looks stern and has his bearers bring him up to the dragon. He is still pitifully small next to the dragon, but at
Roll me
least
a-
he is above everybody else's heads.
Roll me
Except
a
for,
DC
you know, Inkatink.
16, a DC 16 con check.
Okay. It's my constitution. Saving throw?
Sure.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a different thing, but
It's in this case it's not, but sometimes saving throws are different from just checks. This is going to be a 7 from Diamondback.
if you had passed, you would successfully avoid expressing any mirth from the laughing gas. However, you are unable to do so, perhaps to your great consternation.
Diamondback starts giggling, and then
But trying to
flushing
impress.
bright red, and then giggling.
So after a few minutes, the effect subsides, and the dragon says,
I see. You have won a great victory and
and he glances around, swings his massive head.
have become an excellent lair.
Yes, a great
Inkatink
one.
definitely puffs up. All of his feathers become huge with that compliment. You see him like a visible wave of heady, the heady rush of praise runs through him.
Your gift to us was most useful, and we thank you for it. Unfortunately, it is due to be destroyed in a matter of a few short days, and we intend to leave before that happens.
Tell me more.
Well, the Iron Bell have a clear strategy when it comes to maintaining what they think of as order and law in these lands. They send one. If one is not obeyed, they send two. Two are not obeyed, 4. If not 4, 8. So on. We have just bested 50. The next army they will send will be the likes of which the world has never seen in all the ages past.
I think
Yeah.
Inkatink shakes his head and kind of doesn't shove Diamondback aside, but definitely like puts his hand on his shoulder and holds a hand up. And you see in cartoon resolution, or maybe even photorealistic but small resolution, the scene of the battle. And so you can see, like, you can literally count all of the Iron Bell guys and all of the zombies.
You have done well, manling. So, why have you requested me?
O great one, the day of justice is coming very soon. We will
So
When the Iron Bell sends their great army here, that great army will no longer be in their capital, upriver. That's when we're going to strike. We will take as many as we can gather, yourself included, hopefully, if you will ally with us. Upriver, skirt around the advancing Iron Bell army, sneak past them, and invade the place from which they come, lay waste to it, destroy it entirely.
I do not know the number of bells, but I have not seen resistance such as this. I will join with you in the battle.
Excellent. Thank you, friend. Tell me, you are most wise and mysterious, and know many others. It was you, in a way. Well, he looks around. Never mind. Other beings of great power, such as yourself. Are there other dragons? Are there other demigods? Not the unicorn. Perhaps the unicorns are not so martial of beings, but perhaps they are. Is there a herd of unicorns that could join us? Any forces of goodness and justice that you can think of? Can you call others on our behalf?
He thinks for a minute and says,
The unicorns offer sanctuary, but rarely valor.
Maybe they could take me.
and then he says,
I know of no other dragons save for the foul black dragons. They used to be among these places long ago. I know not whether they survived. The other dragons I have known have perished, and none are left save me and my offspring you saved. As
I
for
I
sorry, go
say,
ahead.
I too am the last of my clan. We are the same, you and I.
Inkatink shrinks.
No, and in the same words, Inkatink says,
I too am the last of my clan.
in exact replication of what Diamondback just said.
Each
But
of his
then-
eyes,
Go ahead.
each of his eyes is, several feet tall because he's a huge dragon. And he puts his head very close to both of you. One of his eyes close to you, looking at you a couple of feet away, and says,
I am honored.
and then he closes his eye. Whether a wink or a blink, you cannot tell from this position. So he says,
I know of other beings, but I cannot contact them. I have been alone since the dawning,
no, not the dawning.
since the coming of the forest and the mist.
Since I'm sorry, the forest and the mist have always been here. What do you mean the coming of the forest and the mist?
Young one, I will tell you many things after we fight.
I look forward to it.
What of your other friend, the ghost of this lake?
And he seems especially amused by this allusion.
I think that Is his head still very close to us?
Yeah.
I look at Inkatink and make some sort of conspiratorial.
Why
gesture.
are you giving me the secret sign to shut up?
I give a conspiratorial look to Inkatink, and in a voice low enough that everybody who's not up on our level, all the plebeians who are on the ground level and not on a palanquin or flying, will not be able to hear. Diamondback says, "The White Lady and I are on good terms, and Inkatink has joined our cause and become one of us. The Snake Clan is reborn. I have not heard from her explicitly that she will come with us, but I believe that she will when I ask."
He says, he laughs, sort of chuckles as he sort of always does. He's just amused a lot. He goes,
Good. It will be fun to see her again.
Whoa. Just got a lot deeper, a lot cooler.
so I want to
It's like finding out that your uncle used to be like a poacher hunter who also flew bush planes and invented bridge diving. That's cool.
Hangs out with the lich.
So we're going to cut from this and go to. He finds a place in the city. If you look on your maps, there is a large square with trees in it between Timu and Patagat, like a large inner bit. And he kind of coils himself a little in there and to rest for a bit. So let's cut ahead. You want to have a conversation, Diamondback, with your friend? Did you say something? You might be muted.
Hey, Matt. He's
Yes.
saying, are you ready to do the scene with
Yeah.
our mutual friend?
Yes.
And are you going to...
Yes, absolutely. It is going to be a incense singing
Peppermint.
skeletons and like weird dancing, snake dancing, like martial arts moves choreographed, spectacular on the top floor of my so-called wizard's tower.
Over to the side, Inkatink is wearing these flowing, glistening black robes, and you see him. He has his arms out, and he's kind of like hopping back and forth on either foot, like a raven in a dance. And you hear like ululating birdsong, zither, weird, creepy woodwinds. You hear like 5 or 6 different instruments coming out of his voice at once. And it's a little cacophonous, but still, haunting and mellifluous.
Okay.
Yeah, and the import of the ceremony that Diamondback is performing is that I guess it's the next day, and he will have, I think the math works out that he can have his 12 skeletons on the second day, spending all 4 spell slots the first day, and then 2 more spell slots the second day, and then the other.
And this
2
is your
spell
last
slots.
day before leaving.
Oh,
the next day you'll leave. Next morning.
Yeah. Day 3 we leave.
Yeah.
So he's got all 12 skeletons, but he has to reserve 2 more third level spell slots so that he can maintain the ones that he has. And then thereafter, it will take 3 to maintain all 12.
Okay. So mid morning.
Sorry, the import. Oh, so
Go ahead.
unless you're the import of the ceremony is that he's got his army, his 12 skeletons, his group of acolytes, and Inkatink and himself, and we are simultaneously giving all of that to her, and asking her, please, 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 will she be the general at the head of the Snake Clan, leading us in battle against the Iron Bell, leading us upriver to their capital to do this fight.
So it's about mid morning when you're doing this. You've had a long rest, so you could cast your spells and get your last skeletons. So it's mid morning. The next day. Pat, are you Toll? Are you out doing tree stuff again?
Yeah.
Okay. And Belvari, what are you doing this day? You've finished kind of getting things sorted with Garriott. Mid-morning the next day, you have found out that your dragon friend is back and is in the thing, is ready to join with you in your campaign.
Did I hear anything about that bit about the unicorns not being valorous, but
You did not.
providing protection?
You did not.
Did anyone else hear that?
They did. And I will say, not Inkatink, I'm sorry, Belvari. The dragon brought with him the unicorn that you first had. Not the one that
Stabbed me.
Not the one that stabbed you. The unicorn that you first had. It is with the dragon. If you go see the dragon, you will also meet that unicorn again.
Gotcha. I guess I would hear that the dragon was here and want to go say, hey.
Okay. When you do, the unicorn comes up to you and you hear something like kinds of sounds, but you kind of don't quite hear that. You hear, hello, Belvari.
I open my eyes widely. Sort of a side note here. When I was a little kid, I would listen to a radio at night at a very low volume on the nearby Hispanic station. And like, as I started to fall asleep, I would occasionally think that I heard English words. And I was like 50-50 that like, that's how you learn Spanish. Just like listening to Spanish until English words popped up.
That sounds good. That's about what this is like.
Nice. So I just say, hey, how's it going? It's been a while.
It has been a long time. You've made good on your promise. You found Fortivan.
Fortivan. Who's that?
Do you say that or do you?
I go, oh man, it has been a long time because I don't remember my promise.
Your promise to rescue Fortivan from the blackness, the bleakness.
Oh, I just did that because I'm a nice person.
And she laughs some and says, he told me that he
poked me. Yeah, do you want to see?
And she looks at it and laughs and says, yes, he told me that you gave him a gift, life from your own blood.
Yeah.
It is an uncommon thing, but you have also received the gift in return.
Being able to understand you?
Being able to be one of us.
Being able to be one of you?
Belvari, you now have, as an innate ability,
Ooh.
he did not just absorb your blood, it was an exchange. You can once a day become a unicorn.
Oh, wow.
Belvari is a were unicorn?
Full on ability to do that. And you can understand them natively. When you're in unicorn form, you can do the things unicorns can do.
Nice. And is it similar to my other transformations and it lasts a couple hours? Or
Yeah, whatever the time is. I think it's like 2 hours, right?
I think so.
Something like that.
Where lycanthropy with things
It's
that are
not
not
like
wolves
exactly. It's a
is-
different thing.
it is officially now a theme of the Starfall Collective.
This is transformation more than specifically unicanthropy or whatever.
Oh, now that I'm 6th level, it's 3 hours.
Okay.
So
you can do that
Nope.
once a day.
I never have to hardly be a human while I'm awake again.
But Matt brings up a good point. You, I believe you have, in fact, made this one of our pillar shticks. I love it.
I'll take it.
You better
what was the
work
one
that
in your
into our
campaign?
next season, Josh.
I'm already there.
So loud.
So, Belvari, that's what happened with you. You were in the square near Timu. Toll is south of the city. Diamondback is at the top of his tower with his skeletal backup dancers.
It's very Michael Jackson's Thriller up in the top of this
just
tower.
watched that yesterday. I just watched it yesterday for the Vincent Price parts. I was like, heck yeah, man. Remember that bit? Whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down. It's great. Vincent Price thing. Okay. Anyway. So yeah, it's midday. You're going to leave tomorrow. You do your fancy dance, and at the time that you expect, perhaps respecting your ritual and your effort, you find yourself confronted.
Can I do one last kabuki scene for just 30 seconds? Sure. This is the end of the last night before we go off. Inkatink comes out with like some face paint on, and it's like rosy and white and looks silly. And he kind of dances around, and then you see him hold up his fingers like this, and you see a stuffed puppet of Diamondback. It's Diamondback's skin, and it's been stuffed, and it's been moving. It's moving around like Diamondback, and Inkatink is quoting Diamondback and replaying scenes that make Diamondback like either look like the hero or look silly. And he's using a puppet of Diamondback made out of Diamondback's skin to do the little play, to do the little scene. So
again, because he should
sloughed it off.
snake.
Yeah, that's right.
The acolytes love all of the inside jokes. So
yeah, it's stuffed with leaves.
Sure.
Great. Doing all right?
It's important for a messiah to have a scribe to keep the legends alive for succeeding generations of followers.
So yeah, you're confronted with a large, a 8-foot tall naga with a frightening hood that radiates almost like, if anybody in this world knew it, it would be almost like the halo around a Virgin Mary Byzantine poster, this hood of serpent around her. And she is a striking and regal figure in her form and garb.
Now that the acolytes have probably not seen her yet. This ceremony might be the first time. Is she showing herself to all my acolytes as well?
She comes and shows herself in
Amazing.
Full splendor with everybody there, with you summoning, quote unquote.
Awesome. This is
I
great.
should say imploring. You're not summoning her, you're imploring her.
Yeah. I mean, the ceremony, again, like I said, is me giving my skeletons that I just made and my acolytes I recruited and me and Inkatink to her for
and
her
Inkatink
to lead. And then also pleading with her, please, 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 will you lead us to
and
do this particular thing that I want?
And Inkatink has trotted out all of the iron bells that they collected from the field, and he's placed them kind of around her, the place where she appears, as sort of like tribute. And during the night, he's been kind of taking a bone and dully banging on them and stuff. But now they're there
You've
before
got
her.
5 bells there. She hears your plea patiently. Diamondback and Inkatink, your plaint, and says, "You have done well." And then she looks around at all the others who are awed and frightened, but full of fear and respect, and says, "Send these out, and we shall talk, you two and me."
So I turn to the acolytes and I say, "You have not yet ascended to the level of snakehood appropriate to hear her most important secrets. Please await our return below."
And she says, "They shall make ready the way," which is like a command to them, but she only talks to you, doesn't talk to them, right? And then they leave quickly and quietly, including the skeletons. So you're in the room alone.
No bones about it.
Okay.
I think Inkatink does some sort of ceremonial, like, out of respect, I guess.
Okay.
I
Now
think
what?
Diamondback is probably like face down on the floor in front of her in a posture of absolute submission.
And I think Inkatink doesn't get that yet. And so he says in Draconic to her, sends his regards and looks forward to seeing you again. He repeats, actually, he says,
"It will be good to see her again."
That's a
and
brave
quotes
thing
him
to do.
verbatim. Yeah.
She
The dragon is a smart aleck, Josh. Just because the dragon says it'll be fun doesn't mean that she thinks it'll be fun.
Inkatink is way too starstruck with to question him.
Indiscernible vibration in her throat when she hears this.
Oh boy.
Inkatink, you're standing up, right?
Yeah.
Diamondback, you're down on your knees.
I'm on my face,
Prostrate.
prostrate. The whole content of the ceremony was delivering my request to her, and there's nothing more to say.
She says,
"You have done well. We shall leave tomorrow, but I cannot stay before you. I must be behind the army as it marches."
Only tell us how we can assist you, my lady.
"I'm rolling dice, just..." And
to see whether we live or die.
She gets really still, like a statue. She's not a statue, she's there, but she is not looking at you. She's really still.
Should I have said serve instead of assist?
Can I make
What's
an
your
Arcana
posture
check?
right now, Diamondback, as you talk to her?
I think
She has been talking with you.
I think I've probably just like gotten up on my elbows to look up at her.
She does not move. Diamondback, you notice, Inkatink, you don't notice, something's weird in the room. It
in the
is
room.
It is not her being still. She's being weird. She apparently has noticed something weird too. You cannot put your finger on it, but something is weird. I'm rolling to see what you're perceiving, just so you know.
Okay, I say, my lady, is something amiss? And I look around the room behind me and all around.
As you say that, almost as though the whole room had been holding its breath, but you can't tell why or what. The room kind of, it's not quite this. This is the best that comes into your mind. It's almost like the whole room sighs. Ah. And Arasanala relaxes a little bit and says, turns her eyes just straight to you, Diamondback. She's ignoring Inkatink for now. Inkatink does not seem to notice, except that they were acting weird. And she says, what was that?
Is there any sort of check I can make to see if I know what it was?
Sure.
Arcana check, insight check, history, investigation. I'm great at investigation. I would love to investigate what she's talking about.
Do an investigation check.
Okay.
Do it.
Here goes. I rolled a 3, but I have a +6, so that's 9.
You tell her that basically you felt something too, but it wasn't anything. It was something was strange, but it doesn't seem like it now. You're not sure. At that moment, you hear a great bellowing from outside the city. It is your dragon friend. And it's loud. You're halfway across the city.
Right.
Do I hear
Everybody in the city hears that.
I say, my lady, the dragon, is there a problem?
And she says, it was not him. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, 1 second.
Garatone just cast his gaze upon us.
Some third entity has entered the picture. Boy.
The eye of Garatone is upon us! Fools! From the tower his eye pierces stone and flesh.
I've got like all combat spells plus invisibility and zombies.
Yeah, you're a very sorcerous wizard. And I'm a very
only I
wizardly
had-
sorcerer.
She says,
Find the dragon. Yes, felt it too.
Yes, my lady.
And Inkatink goes flying out the window like a rocket.
Diamondback, you?
Diamondback hurries down the stairs, gesturing for his whole crew to follow him.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I
Starts-
forgot. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Says to the acolytes, something is amiss. The lady has commanded us to consult with the dragon regarding what to do next. And as we exit the tower, I tell the acolytes, nobody, not your family, not your friends, nobody can know what you have just seen. I've told them this before, that these are secrets of the Snake Clan. What happens in the top of the tower, nobody can say to anybody ever. But I remind them of all that, and I tell them that it will be a deadly mistake to speak of the lady, and that all questions regarding such matters, if somebody, whatever, bring them to me. Don't try to talk about it. Snitches get stitches. Like, this is like super cult secret society stuff.
They undulate in secret assent.
Perfect. They understand.
They do. Okay, so
We hurry to the dragon.
While that's happening, sorry, one sec. Yeah. While that is happening, Belvari and Toll,
Mm-hmm.
something's weird.
Where
You
are we
feel.
presently located?
Say it again.
Where are we presently located?
Toll, you are south of the town. You have been working to animate some trees. You are mid-ritual, and this ritual takes a long time, right?
8 hours, yeah.
Okay, you're mid-ritual today doing this, but something's not right, and you can't quite put your finger on it. Belvari, you are in the town. You are with the people of Miradau helping get ready for the contingency that you might want to take the people to Garriot's place.
Yeah.
You're in Miradau, and for 4 or 5 minutes, you also are. Something is not normal.
The dragon.
You hear the dragon roar after a few minutes.
And I'm close-ish to him, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'll take you 15 minutes,
Oh.
20 minutes to jog your way to him.
Unicorn was right there. Is that not?
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You were at the dragon at that point. If you were still there, then you're right there with the dragon.
Yeah.
And Toll, you're south of the town. Your ritual for the awakening of trees has been, at least your attention to it has been interrupted. Inkatink, where do you fly when you come? You fly. You dart out of the window. What do you do?
So the first thing Inkatink does is continue on his 45-degree angle up until he is high enough up that he can see the dragon. So presumably within not that many rounds, he would have a sufficient angle to see, a kilometer or so away the dragon. If we're going, then the entire city is less than a kilometer across. So he's flying fast towards
a little less than a kilometer across.
Yeah. So he's do I need to make a perception check or anything or a notice? Yeah, perception to find the dragon, or can I just see him when I fly up?
You can see him when you can see the place where you know where he is.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm flying. Okay, I'm flying in that direction.
Do you have a map?
I mean, in my mind, yeah, I do. I have I have the map here. So yeah, so I'm basically flying due south, more or less,
to the place next to Tiimu.
Right? Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
As you see where the word on the map, the Mud Keep is.
Yeah. Do we have a bell in the Mud Keep? Wait.
How are you flying? How are you flying? What are you using to fly?
Right now, I think he's used his bead, his magic item.
What did you use before to fly?
Oh, I mean, that was a couple of days ago. That was on the first day, but
that was yesterday. That's right.
Yeah.
Prior day.
Yeah.
Okay. You're flying with your magic blue magic pebble. Okay, sounds good. So you're going to cut a straight line over the city, which is good. That's what you said to do.
Yeah, I'll basically buzz the tower of the keep and then keep going south until I get to the dragon.
When you get right near the fountain, like the edge of where the fountain is, you fall from the sky.
Oh, wow.
You smack hard onto a rooftop.
So I have Featherfall as a spell. Am I able to cast it?
Go for it.
I try to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing happens.
You
just bam hit. Really, to your surprise, you have fallen hard.
Inkatink has a very fleeting, very smug thought. And this is why I took Featherfall. Oh no. Yeah. All right. What am I rolling?
Damage.
How many dice?
1d6 per 10 feet that he fell.
Oh boy. Okay, so at that point, I'm flying over the rooftops.
You said
So that-
1d6
Yes, that's fall
per
damage.
10 feet.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Roll for
probably-
me, Inkatink.
Yeah.
I'm going to call this. Roll for me
It's
8,
go ahead.
8d6.
Okay.
That's the distance, because you flew straight up so you could see the dragon area, and then you went at a beeline. So you're coming downwards towards him, and you're over a building.
23 feet. Or 23 damage. So I'm now at 21 out of 44.
Okay. You got hurt hard.
That's
Now,
more than half my
roll
hit
for
points.
me 4d6,
Okay.
because you fell off the roof.
Do I get to make a dexterity saving throw to catch the edge of the roof?
You know what? I'll let you do that with disadvantage. Sure. I'll take that for the rule of cool.
So that's a 9 for the first one.
Okay.
And 13, so a 9.
You don't, but you can slow your fall. Give me 3d6 for your remaining damage.
Okay.
You can catch a little bit of that.
Hey, 5 more damage.
Okay.
Do I see this?
You do not. You're
Okay.
You're telling the people, hey, no, I'm going to make some
But that's as
acolyte
we're
skin boots if you act up.
that's as we're walking. Walking at a brisk pace down. Towards the fountain,
Yeah.
and then down that main street towards the mud keep.
A minute later, you can see him there. He was right next to the fountain. You can see him laying there, badly hurt.
Okay. Yeah. I have my acolytes go and check to see if he needs that one spell that we can do that prevents having to make death saving throws. So we don't actually have
Healing.
we don't actually have any healing.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't need to be spared from death. You see him moving around, but he's clearly really, really crunched up.
Okay. Yeah. We help him up and continue on our way. And Diamondback says, "What happened?" Oh, and by the way, if there's some Diamondback has his continual flame on his shoulders. Is that still there?
You can't see it. It's daylight, but I don't know.
Somebody would say something if it went out, though.
Say it again. You broke up.
Oh, one of my acolytes or somebody would say something if it suddenly disappeared.
Actually, you know what? Let me see. You're walking in the fountain. No, you have your flame. You do.
Okay, and my skeletons are fine? My magically animated skeletons?
Yeah, there's no issues.
Interesting. I say to Inkatink, what happened? Let's go.
Inkatink basically casts Minor Illusion and shows Diamondback from a first-person view what it looked like to fall out of the sky and hit the building and hit the ground.
Are you using components or using your
Just
focus?
cantrip.
Oh, cantrip. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
does
you
that
wave-
work?
You wave your hands and show Diamondback what the space between your hands looks like.
Wow.
Diamondback attempts a gust.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Y'all are walking together. You do show him what it looks like. He sees you.
Okay.
Y'all are walking together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the fountain now. You show him what it looks like, what it was like for you to fall.
It does work.
Okay.
You do cast the spell.
So Inkatink basically holds up his hand and uses Minor Illusion to make a picture of the tower where he flew away. And then he kind of thinks and moves his hand and he tries to draw how far he flew until he hit something. Can I make like an intelligence check to see how accurately I can draw that with my magic?
Sorry, one sec.
So, Matt, it occurs to me that if we have components, it would
Well, I just
behoove
wanna
us. Go ahead.
I want to see if you still have your focus. You have a focus, right? I
Right.
wonder if like something got messed up with your focus, if you still even have it.
Okay. Yeah, y'all are doing it. Hey, Toll. So you're south of the town. I'm cutting. Y'all are going to walk towards the dragon, right?
Yeah, when we get back, remind me to ask you my question.
Okay. You are able to portray what you think happens, what you think, how far you got. They find you, obviously, having fallen.
Okay.
So, but you are
yeah,
able to show them minor illusion. Everything's fine. It works.
So Inkatink basically conveys to Diamondback that his focus stopped working up in the air while he was flying. So now Inkatink is trying to think, like, is there a ball in the air? Is there like a sphere of anti-magic? Is there a plane? Anyway, he's just trying to throw that idea out there so that Diamondback is thinking about it too, because he's worried about what that means, that magic is being nullified inside of their city.
So you continue walking. Belvari, you are there with the dragon when he roars. The unicorn also roars. Toll, you have heard this too, and something's weird in the forest. You hear the dragon roar. Do you want to go towards them, or do you want to stay where you are? You're in the middle of your ritual, or you're in the middle of your casting.
Yeah, I think hearing a dragon roar is enough for me to think that it's worth it to just, cut my losses and head back.
Okay, that sounds good. And also, so it's going to take you about 20 minutes to get back to get to them. You're going to get there before Diamondback and Inkatink. Belvari, you're standing there now.
Hey, Mr. Dragon Man, what's the dealio?
He says,
Something is very wrong.
Yeah.
Or something is very strange.
You want to pick me up and we can fly around and go see what's going on?
You may ride on me.
Belvari thinks that is awesome. He has almost completely forgotten that anything was wrong.
So
Belvari is thinking to himself how jealous Inkatink is going to be when he tells him.
I didn't say anything because to say anything would be to blow up, but yes.
Belvari, you climb up on. The dragon has, wings, and it's a dragon, right? Kind of a westernish dragon, not an easternish dragon. So it's not like a snake, but more like a lizard. And so he flaps and takes off into the air and kind of spirals up. Remember that the canopy normally is about 60 feet, but above your lake, there was no tree growing in it. So you actually have this hill with bare spot, and then above you is the great canopy. It's an unusual place in the forest to be able to do that. So he spirals up a fair distance. he probably goes high enough to be able to see, everything. How high would you want him to go? You can tell me in feet or kilometers or whatever. The city, just to give you a sense of scale here. Oh, you pick.
Mm-hmm.
You, Dwight, can pick this. The city is ballpark. I have a little measuring thing here. Is ballpark a kilometer wide, a little less than a kilometer wide. So you're going to want to go upwards to be able to see the whole thing, if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would go up until I could see, I don't know, at least a kilometer outside the city in every direction.
So I don't know what that is. So can you tell me a height that you would like to go?
Well, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how the vision can work, but it would be 1.5 kilometers
Up.
But I don't think we'd have to get that high to see that far.
Okay.
So maybe call it 2/3 of that, which would be what? 1 kilometer, right? Yeah.
Okay. Great. 1,000 yards, meters,
Yeah, 1,000
about
meters.
the same. Okay. Yeah. You get really high up, and it feels high enough to see. I mean, you're up that high. And first of all, it feels super cool. You're having shades of a story that will never end in your mind. And you are way high up in the you're not in, there's no sky. You're above where the canopy would be and circling, and your dragon friend says,
It is not so strange here. What were we feeling?
you felt it too, but you're not sure what it was. It was weird.
Can I perceive to see if I?
I'll let you roll me a perception check. No, an investigation check is the appropriate thing here.
Dang it! I wish I was as good at investigation as I am at perception. I'm going to take guidance, and I'm going to need it because I got another. It's my second 8 tonight. Best I can do is 12, but I got 11.
You can't tell, but it does feel normal up here, except for the whole dragon thing.
Yeah.
It does not feel weird like it did for a few moments when you were below. You're not sure what that was about.
Well, then I just say, hey, what if we kind of circle around and see if you notice it again?
You circle around, and in the distance, far above, you see Yoshka and Neno on the south side of the city.
I whip out my sending stone and I tell Diamondback, hey, Yoshika and Nino are here.
Diamond.
Also, I'm on a dragon. Tell me,
Hi.
Hey! Oh my gosh!
Diamondback.
Inkatink.
I thought they were joking. But they're
Inkatink
not.
goes
They're really here.
with 16 hit points. Inkatink bolts off in the direction of
I forgot.
Thank you.
Diamondback.
He's- towards their
Diamondback.
direction, I'm sure.
No, Diamondback goes towards his
Yes.
wizard's
Getting a
tower.
little bit closer. Sorry, real quickly. Getting a little bit closer. You see also Talid was amidst some trees, but he has come back, and the four figures are on the south side near the gate. Told. As you approach the gate, you see Yoshka, Neno, Talid, and someone else in their group approaching the gate about the same time that you are.
I'll do a double take, and I'll say, "Oh, hey,
Hi. Troll! Yoshka runs up and gives him a hug.
it's good to see you too."
Roll grapple check.
Then he also reaches down for a leg to see if he can kind of trip him up, but doesn't go all the way with it. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Nina bounces a little bit. She doesn't have words, but she's suddenly spring-like.
Inkatink and Diamondback, y'all are. Have you decided to run more quickly, or are you just walking still?
Diamondback is making his way back to the wizard's tower, having
okay.
heard from the sending stone that what has come is Yoshka and Neno.
So you did not hear that from the sending stone.
Oh,
Didn't work.
He did not hear that from the sending stone. That's a weird question, so I'm not sure how to answer that exactly.
Have we kept everyone?
okay. So wait, I'm sorry.
Diamondback and Inkatink are around the mud keep up in your walking.
Okay, and we haven't heard anything from Belvari's.
That's right.
Us.
That's
Okay,
right.
yeah. Then
Oh,
we're not involved. We're still walking towards where the dragon is.
Okay.
Was
You will. If the
Was,
dragon's
yeah.
dragon's above you now, Belvari, what are you doing?
does the sending stone tells me if the person isn't there?
You have no problems with it. It seems to
felt
send
like
the
it-
message.
All right, so Morris got in the way again. Next time we teleport, Morris will be like, "Oh yeah, I was supposed to tell you something. Whatever, I don't know."
So what do you do? As far as you know, you told
Yeah,
him.
I guess they're not gonna say cool or anything that I'm riding a dragon. Yeah, I say, hey, what if we go look over there?
To the gate where they are with Toll.
Yeah.
You do so. Inkatink and Diamondback, you see the dragon flying downward from the sky with a Belvari on him, or perhaps you see Belvari flying downward riding a dragon. Either way, they are going towards the gate of the city. You are about a 4-minute walk from there.
We go towards them.
Inkatink casts haste, and he's going to use meta magic to cast it upon both himself and Diamondback, and hold it with concentration, and they both take off like a shot.
You cast haste, and both of you jog at a reasonable pace towards the gate. You arrive at the gate about 3-4 minutes after you cast your spell. Toll is there with the dragon, Belvari, Yoshka, Neno, Talid, and a friend. And you two arrive.
I think Inkatink just runs in a straight line for Neno and just hugs her, gets her up off her feet, hugging her. And he starts he's like a mile a minute nonstop. He's whipping objects out of pouches and showing them to her and shoving them into her hands. He's, just a bubbling explosion of minor illusion. He keeps trying to show her everything that's happened, and he's going way too fast. But I'm sure Neno
is not seeing any of it because her eyes are squeezed and filled with tears, and she's made her body into like a starfish shape because she's on board with this being slightly tousled around of excitement.
And Inkatink isn't even paying attention to what he's showing her hardly. He's just making hand motions and doing the stuff and casting cantrips and pulling things out, all kinds of crazy wise, not even paying attention to the details of what he's showing.
Diamondback is going to go directly to Yoshka and say in a very serious voice, "You have brought something that has had a significant magical impact upon the area. Please, can you explain what it is?"
Yes, well, I was going to introduce you to him. This is Zevik. He's agreed to help us.
Hello.
Now, tell me, what has happened? He says to Diamondback.
And Neno chimes in, "Where did the mist go? What did you guys do with the mist?"
Mist?
Looking around, Toll, Belvari, Inkatink, Diamondback, you put your finger on what it is that's weird. the slow, swirling, undulating mist of the forest that has always been there isn't.
Uh-oh. That way we can't cast some of our
The
magic.
air is bright and
I
clear.
pull out some random component and try to cast it.
You crush it, and between your fingers, they're slightly sticky and gritty with the leaf that you crumbled and the bit of bug.
Diamondback
God.
goes very tense.
We didn't go the way you went. We were clearing out the grates in the sewers, and we were all pulled in. And the river took us far away outside of Garaton into Dasan. Not the shadow of Dasan, but Dasan itself. We have seen a place with no trees at all. We traveled very far,
That's
and
absurd.
Zevek here,
It
well,
was.
he is the father of that place.
Zevek, when you say that, has a somewhat confused look.
Toll also has a somewhat confused look. He's worried that these kids might have gotten touched in the head or something talking about a place with no trees.
He agreed to come, and we told him about the Iron Bell. He had not heard of it, but he agreed to come and speak with them. He is very old, I think, and Yoshka looks at Zevek. How many generations?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I think of it more in days.
Oh,
How many of those?
100,000 or so?
Hmm.
Tell it, Yoshiko. We should tell them about his land. It's so there's no lower canopy and there's no upper canopy, and there's there's the light that comes through our canopy. There, it doesn't have to come through anything. It's just a ball of fiercely hot light in the sky, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's so bright. And there's no iron bell, and there's no one taking the children, and there's no one fighting to survive. They're just living with their families happily and growing food and eating it and enjoying each other. And there's no bell. And it's beautiful, and there's gardens everywhere. And Zevek's home is the most beautiful garden. He's a gardener and everything. And she just goes on and on. But anyway, he can garden here. He can garden where the trees are, we think. But we've got gardeners. We've got Garaton and Simdron and the other gardeners. Anyway, he's going to try and teach them how to garden his way.
as she says this, you all recognize Yoshka, Neno, and Talid's skin is very strange, much darker than you've ever seen our skin or people's skin. Talid's hair is all gone,
I forgot about that.
and you see them standing differently. Not quite sure what that is. And Yoshka, his distinctive Wayfarer's hat is not on. They're all wearing some very strange clothes that you don't recognize the style of.
And they are very fancy looking, expensive looking clothing to your eye.
And we've got metal weapons.
Oh, that.
Just holding metal weapons out like it's no big deal.
Yoshka has this really long spear, and Neno has maybe a sickle in her hand. And
That are-
Talid, you
It's
can
like a trowel that's been battered down, sort of.
that are made of
Very-
iron or steel or something.
They're not made of iron, you can tell that. They are really nice. You don't know what they are, but they're shiny and clean and nice.
In Dasan, there is no mist. No one draws magic from the air, and our components did not work. Even Talad's token did not work. But through long traveling, we met Zevek and his, what do I say? And Yoshka looks at Zevek. No, Morris's father visited us and made the gifts that we have to work, but nothing else. And when we returned through Garatone, there was no mist even in the hole.
So if this guy's gonna help us, how are we gonna cast stuff?
Well, as far as we can tell, neither can the Iron Bell, and that gives us one advantage.
And he is very good at speaking with people.
Maybe we can just make friends with him.
Worked so far. Talon says almost like he's like, it's worked so far. Why not? Like, sure, last cause.
I know we have much catching up to do, and we need to know what we need to know, but without knowing what has transpired here, I think if there is an army coming that is too big, we might stay here and maybe Zevek go out and speak with them when they come.
Well, I mean, some magic seems to work. He doesn't stop all magic. So
Really?
What magic has been working for you guys? Because we have not been able to make anything go.
Diamondback's zombies are still. I mean, skeletons are still skeletoning.
Diamondback and Inkatink have magic, which is from a source that is not the mist.
Gotcha.
Diamondback and Inkatink are also not with their skeletons. They've gone ahead.
Yeah.
The skeletons are back in the mud keep area.
Hearing about the skeletons, Talon's going to light up a little bit and say, "Oh, I need to talk to you about something, Diamondback." He's going to pull out a skull and says, "Sometime very soon, I need you to talk to this guy."
A skull or a head?
The skull that I took off the guy in the.
You peeled all its flesh off?
If I didn't think it had flesh. Wait,
Yeah, it was purple skinned.
not the one that I threw on the ground in the thing.
Oh.
When I went into the big.
Talon's been playing with heads.
Yes.
Sounds like our stories have been parallel and divergent.
So
The
skull?
The Stonewall City that you told us about, we found it too in the hole, and maybe this was the king's head?
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. I'm going to pull his skull out and say, I need you to talk to him sometime soon. It doesn't have to be now, but it does have to be very quickly.
When did the disruption happen? When did you notice it?
Like 2 minutes. 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, as
Now
soon
it's
as you
probably
guys arrive.
Or
Half an hour ago.
talking.
Oh, I totally thought the mist was gone because of something you guys had done while we were gone. But you're saying the mist only went away when we arrived with Zevek?
Yes,
Wishka,
and it's
maybe
very
you're
important
right.
to know why.
Maybe Zevek is bringing a clear air.
I turn to Zevik. Is this true?
Is what true?
Are you the cause of this change that we see in our environment?
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's not familiar with our ways.
Talon's going to, like, let Diamondback sort this out. He's sure to have a very, very convincing explanation. Talon has been waiting for this conversation a long time.
Diamondback uses all of his magical arts to see if there are any spells or magical effects active on this person.
What does that mean? All of his magical arts.
He checks it against everything he knows about spells and how magic works.
Yes. Roll an Arcana check.
Awesome.
Inkatink would like to cast Detect Magic.
Great.
Inkatink, Inkatink, well, Diamondback's eyes have rolled back into his head to read his inner tone. You cast detect magic, but you don't see any indications of magic about Zevek.
Doesn't
He
see
turns to
the-
Diamondback and says, "He's clean."
Well, he also doesn't know if the spell even worked, right?
I mean, he doesn't see any indications of magic on Zevek.
Well, he knows that his spell worked because he's got his focus and stuff.
Great.
Caleb is trying not to laugh during this entire thing.
Matt, what did you roll?
Just a 6. Not very good.
Okay. You have no idea about the 6. You don't have any idea what's going on here. Why this guy?
Okay. Mr. Dungeon Master, I would like to enact an illegal anachronism for the sake
Okay.
of the rule of cool, which
Do
I'm
it.
asking for your permission.
Tell me what's going on.
When I hit level 6 as a wizard, I have the ability to add and subtract like one spell from my spell book.
Okay.
I have not yet done that, but it would have happened several days ago when
Okay.
I leveled up. I would like to, since Talad has a specific level 3 spell that he would like me to be able to cast, and it is the kind of spell Diamondback would get. It is a necromancy, a school of necromancy spell. Is that okay?
First. By the way, I forgot to ask. When y'all leveled up, what spell did you get, Diamondback? I forgot.
I haven't. Oh, okay, yeah.
So much effort.
Oh yeah, I got Speak with Dead. It's necromancy spell, so it's exactly the kind of thing. Diamondback wants to go back to his village and exhume some of the dead people there, and
Makes sense.
get wisdom from the dead snake clan. That's what they're all about. They cast the spell all the time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that'll come in useful for you sometime.
But I want to actually look up the rules, the rules for wizards.
I don't know. The wolf.
Bavari gets on all fours and flexes hard and growls.
Growls because I'm a wolf.
And all of you are there seeing him do so.
Nice.
Nana says, "You okay, kiddo?"
I'm a wolf, and I run around
Oh,
the room.
each time I gain a wizard level, I can add 2 wizard spells of my choice to my spell book for free. So that's one of them, and there's going to be one
Okay.
more. But so, all that aside, Diamondback is very urgently pursuing a line of inquiry, which is
Zevek is earnest here. He's genuinely trying to answer your question.
great.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I say, my entire world, the entire world of the whole history of my people and everybody that we've ever met, going back to the beginning of the world. It is all trees everywhere. It is always misty everywhere. And now I see around me no mist. And I think actually for Diamondback, this would be something like being in a place with no gravity. It might even seem to him as though, because the mist is so normal, it might seem like clear air is a thing, like a new substance. That
Yeah.
And he's like, what is this?
The biggest thing you notice about this is the stillness. That's what you felt in the tower, as though the room were holding its breath. The mist is not swirling and undulating. The space around you is just still.
What is the thing that you have brought? I need an answer. I need to know. Why is it like this? What have you done?
What you're saying I don't quite understand. Y'all are inside the city gate right now. He says, and he looks all around and he says, there are as many trees here as where I am from.
There's just no mist where he's from, and somehow he brought that. We were there and nobody did magics.
So wait,
Very
you
good.
can't see the
Y'all are
He will
inside
come
the
with
city.
me.
There's no trees.
Right.
Diamondback has just said there's trees everywhere, all the time in the whole world for all of history. Zevek looks around and there are no trees.
Gotcha.
And he's just like,
Where you're
Oh.
from, there are no trees. Not many
there are
trees.
trees. Well, there are plenty of trees.
I meant
Not as
there
many as here. There are a lot here.
there are no great trees.
There's the right number of trees.
Excellent. He must come with me, and I take him by the hand and I start leading him to my wizard tower.
He is reticent and kind of
No.
stays with Yoshka and Neno and Talad.
Toll, what do I need to know? Have we kept everyone here?
Well, we lost a few in the recent assault from the Iron Bell.
If he won't come, Diamondback goes. Diamondback goes back to his wizard tower, like right now. He leaves. Diamondback's no
Okay.
longer in the party. He goes back to his wizard tower.
And Toll, when you say that, maybe Diamondback or Inkatink will remind you that they were able to spare the dying on the ones who were hurt, and you didn't actually lose anybody in the assault ultimately, although a couple of them were
Oh,
at the
sweet.
store.
Retcon then, I will say we managed to not lose anybody when the Iron Bell assaulted recently. How many people did they have? Was it like
When he says that they didn't lose anybody, Inkatink goes "Kts," and does like a little religious symbol of the merciful thing. Kts.
Yoshka looks at the walls and says, so does he see, is the dirt still just sloping up so you could...
They've actually made a 6 foot trench, 6 foot wide, 6 foot deep trench all the way around the town that you saw as you came in. Y'all are inside now, so you can't actually see that.
Okay.
But Toll asked, how many people did they have? And the answer to that was about 50 Iron Bell and a couple hundred zombies and beasts assaulted the city.
Wow,
Okay.
well done.
so? Yeah, I
Well-
will mention that, and I'll also say you're right on time to join us on our assault on the Iron Bell capital.
What is your mind of in Diamondback's message? He said they were going to come here,
They
and
most
so you
certainly did.
wanted to first beat them to it. But if a large army is on their way here, I think it would be better to meet them first.
I don't know that I like our chances against 100 Iron Bell.
There is a way.
Especially with that magic.
When Zevek came specifically to help us, and well, since there is no magic near him, all of the undead will simply fall, I expect. We met no undead on our way here, though we heard them only at a distance. And I think that is because if any came too close, they fell apart. But I would like to learn more, Zevik, how you can have a good conversation with them. And I think it would be good to start with a smaller group than everyone at the headwaters.
And Zevek says, I'm not sure that a conversation is the best approach here.
Perhaps not.
If there are hundreds of people, it's very difficult to talk with hundreds of people in a conversation.
That's fair. It could be more like a lecture.
I still myself You know, Zevik, it is like we are from different worlds and we are both feeling this. And in my mind, you said you could deal with a group of horses with no trouble, but I wonder what is the right way to deal with thousands of men. I would hate to leave all of the people we've worked hard to save here to die while we go strike for the head, but I don't know so many things. I don't know how soon an army will come.
They will be here in days.
Inkatink, Belvari, and Toll, feel free to whatever. I'm just going to point out that Yoshka said, I don't want us to leave the people here while we go strike out against the headwaters. They could all die. You all, if you are thinking of the plan that Diamondback has laid out, might have something to say about the way he structured that.
Yeah, we have a plan to possibly take most of the people with us, but leave some here, but not here. I don't know if the teleportation circle works anymore, but we were gonna teleport them away.
Inkatink steps forward, holds up his hand, and starts showing images of all of the teleportation circles that we know, and he shows a map, a magic, a minor illusion of a map that the actual somewhere else the players have been scribing and drawing on and pointing at things, and he shows kind of everything they know.
Inkatink waves his hands in a complex hand jive.
And nothing happens? They don't see anything?
No.
No!
Tal's just nodding at this like, yes, this is, yes, thank you.
Yeah, this is disheartening, but also reassuring. It's not just us.
I think Inkatink just scream. I won't do it again, but he just screams again. Just a really long, and he goes to try to fly, like casting the spell innately with innate magic. He tries to fly.
Yeah. And he does. He flies 2-3 feet into the air before returning to the ground.
What about Toll?
He just screams again. No!
Are there uplifted trees walking around? Or are they?
You can go look. There's not any like right here, but you know where trees live in the city.
Yoshka looks at Toll for an explanation of Inkatink's dance.
Inkatink was granted a focus. Gave him the ability to fly, amongst other things. That was what lets you fly, right?
Yeah, so I think wait, he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a blue pebble and he clasps it in his hand and he tries to fly.
You already used that today.
Oh, right. Okay, but that's what stopped suddenly. And so I think you see Inkatink. What's that?
So you jump again.
Yeah, but when Inkatink jumps again, he realizes that he already used it, and then you see this huge fat tear come falling down his face, like he's literally just silently weeping as he's staring at this blue pebble.
And Sevek leans to Yoshka and says, actually, Yoshka's talking really earnestly. He leans to Talon and says, is he a bird or a man?
He's part crow, and
Inkatink's head whips at Talon, and he just suddenly rushes up to within like a half an inch of Talon's face, and his eye is just to his eye.
Talon is unafraid and says, "Oh, good, you're back from your stupor." Anyway, he's a part bird and part man.
Bird man, if you will.
Inkatink makes the sound of vomiting and sticks out his tongue at him and walks away.
It's good to see you too, buddy.
It is late afternoon. Diamondback.
So
When you When you get to, just a sec. When you get to the, sorry, I have to look this up real quickly.
So, did you have a plan?
So I should say to poor Talid that Diamondback does not have the Speak with Dead spell and cannot ever have it because it is a cleric or bard spell, and he's a wizard.
Say it again.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I can't have Speak with Dead.
Oh, it's cleric.
I
We
can't.
went back
I don't.
in time and gave
don't
you that
get it.
spell, and now you're telling us
Yeah,
Oh,
that was a waste.
I got excited because it's necromancy, so I thought this is perfect. But it
Can
actually,
Yoshka teach
won't
him?
work.
Can Diamondback and Yoshka do some dark ritual where a bard
Yoshka's
teaches
not
a
a cleric.
necromancer how to love? Yeah, but he's a
I
bard.
think it's a bard spell, so maybe Yoshka can get it at some point.
Oh, it's a bard.
Go ahead and ask, Matt. Have Diamondback ask Yoshka that.
But I'm not with you guys right now.
Wait, why? I thought we were still with them. Did you
go run
I
off?
went back to the tower as soon
In
as
the
I
time that
heard.
you've been talking, Diamondback, they've been talking. You left. You got to the mud keep. Your skeletons are walking around, being all skeletal. You get
Mhm.
there, they follow you, and you proceed to the fountain and return to your tower. You are
Yes.
now in your tower and have ascended to the top.
Yeah. Is my
She
lady
is.
still there?
Yep.
I say to her, I bow down deeply. I belly on the floor again, and I say to her, my lady, one has arrived, and it seems as though where he goes, there is no mist. Some friends of ours have been in a place where they say there are very few trees and the mist is not. I don't understand it. Explain it to me.
And she goes,
I have no care for the mist. Perhaps it is the Erewhon again. But the magic, what has happened?
I do not understand it. The magic, the mist is the magic, my lady.
The mist is nothing but for the coven. But the magic has left. It is here now.
and she casts a spell, in front of her face just to show herself.
But it had left for a time.
I'm sorry, my lady. I went to investigate, and I found this newcomer who arrived with some of my friends, and that is the only possible explanation I can think of. The only thing I know of that has changed. What would you have me do?
You hear a knock, a really loud knock at the bottom of the tower, and a voice shouting,
Hey, can you tell me about the skull now?
I look to my lady.
she says,
Let's find out what is going on.
I know you're up there, Diamondback. I saw you come.
Who is this fool?
My lady. My lady, he is of no importance. We pay him no mind. Tell me, what course would you have me pursue?
I have never something as this.
Nor I, my lady.
Did she say that the magic went away for a bit, but is back.
You
Yeah.
didn't hear it, but yes. I mean, Neno didn't.
Right. Okay.
And those of us who know will think that she would have reason to be particularly afraid of magic itself blipping out.
Yeah.
But don't tell Dwight. Don't tell Belvari that. Yeah, so I'm ignoring Talad and just waiting on my lady.
It's twilight now. Just the amount of time it's taken to walk and do all the talking.
Y'all are still standing at the gate. The dragon is there and has not said a word.
He's laying in the street.
Next to the wall. Sticks his head into the group.
So Robert, we missed that last sentence.
So we missed everything after, and he leans.
He leans,
Stretches his neck forward, which gives
gives him a good maybe 30, 40 feet extra distance. And for the first time that he has been here the whole time,
next to
Zevek.
he's surprised, but he doesn't
Seem
seem
alarmed or anything.
Zevek says, "This is a very large snake."
It's a dragon.
Okay. And says,
Hello, strange one.
and Zevek says, hello.
Still surprised that it can talk. Are we all?
Y'all are all there.
Belvari says,
Hey, if you eat him, we
Yoshka looks at you seriously with a furrowed brow and says, "What?"
I mean, he's stopping the magic, so
No.
Sort of, so she's standing kind of in between you and Zevek,
Not like as threat, just like
being bodily encumbrance.
Zevek says, almost ignores it. He sort of is aware that you said that and is glancing around and looks at Zevek and says,
What do you think of that?
Foolish words come easily to the young, and you know we are all very young. Zevek, he is not so young, and he is not here to stay. He is here to help us, and we will move on if we are not welcomed by you.
Zevek says to the dragon, he sort of nods, he acknowledges what you said and looks at the dragon and he says, what do I think of that? I think you and I could be friends, he says to the dragon. Somewhat persuasively. Let's see if he's persuasive. Why don't I have you roll a charisma, just straight up charisma check. It'll be contested persuasion against his charisma. No, wisdom. Just roll it for the dragon. Just so that I'm not the only one rolling both.
Okay. 5 plus whatever modifiers.
I think he had a 9 modifier on charisma.
Okay.
14. And Zevek has a 33. So the dragon is persuaded that probably they could get along. And it was probably more of a joke from Belvari.
I mean, the dragon's putting out all that laughing
Laughing
gas.
gas. So yeah, y'all are here, and the dragon says,
I do not understand you, strange one.
and Sebek says, well, I understand that. And then he looks over at Yoshka and says, it's kind of been a long day. We've walked a lot. Could we go to sit somewhere? We've been standing here for a long time.
Yes. Let's do.
Nano shrugs over her shoulder to Belvari. Hey, Belvari, where are we bunking now?
Inkatink says, "Not these," and he shows like an image of all the different. Or he holds up his hands and starts trying to cast minor illusion, and then you see his fingers curl into balls of fists, and he's just quivering with rage.
So Diamondback, and just tell me real quickly, when you go into your tower with all this going on, did you lock the front door? Does the front door lock of your tower?
Yes, the front door locks. I spent time during our downtime to make sure it had a locking door, and
I remember that.
And it and he did lock it and always does because you know.
Yeah. You hear it rattling a lot. Talad seems to be trying to get in to see you.
That's great. Fine.
That's where we're going to end this episode. We will be back next. No, sorry, not next. Wait, give me a second here. Monday. Yeah. We'll be back next week. Another episode of the Starfall Collective, The Dying of the Light.
It will be Halloween.
Oh, that'll be Halloween. So let's say not next week then, because kids doing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. Just to let everybody remember, it is late afternoon, early evening, the night before the plan to set out for the headwaters. And you have got the dragon on board, all the townsfolk, the party, everybody's here, and you've got a new friend. You've got a new acquaintance. So thank you for playing, and thank you guys for, thank the rest of you for listening. If you'd like to find out more about this story or the collective, you can find out at thestarfallcollective.com.